And one last fire related question. We had Bill Grunler on last week, and he talked about how he was able to compartmentalize a lot of the gnarly stuff that he came across. And you just mentioned what you had to deal with last night. How do you handle that sort of stuff on the back end?
Man, I wish I knew the answer to that. I think, like I said earlier, I think we do a really good job of talking about it indirectly at the fire station. We make sure that everybody's okay. Like, even though you don't say like, "Hey, brother, you doing all right? Is everything all right with you?" Like, there's a kind of bullshitting way that we do that you kind of throw these feelers out there and see how people react. We had a fatality at the station that I've been assigned to for a couple years. About 3 weeks ago, I was not at that station when it happened, and it was like I was there. I felt for these guys. They didn't know there was a victim in this structure fire that they were assigned, fire attack and primary search on, and they found a 3-year-old, and it was like, unfortunately, the kid had passed, and it was devastating for him. And just like feeling how they felt without actually having to talk to them, everybody reaches out. You okay? Is everything all right? You want to talk about it? And a lot of times that's done one-on-one, not in a group setting. And it's important. So that adds to the family feeling, is that we're vulnerable with each other. So I think that's another element of why I love this profession so much. It's a blue-collar job. It gets you connected to people. There's a lot of feelings involved in it. And frankly, we see a bunch of stuff that's, somewhat devastating to think about. But in the scope of life, it happened. A lot of these things happen all the time. And it's hard to imagine. But when you've seen it a bunch, it becomes more routine, and you learn how to deal with it. And then the other part of it is, like, I come home and I have a support structure here, and Cherie takes care of me, honestly. Like, there's times where she knows I just need a little time, or she'll ask if I want to talk about something. And, generally I feel pretty good. But, we do, psychedelics have been great for us. And I think we've connected in a way that has been so healthy with the use of psychedelics that that is something that we've done that have brought us to closer together, but also me more in touch with my own things that are spinning in my brain. And I get emotional from time to time while on those things, and it's good that it comes out. And it's also good to just be aware that it's in there and that you can shake it loose.
Yeah, I would almost argue that when he did compartmentalize, it wasn't his healthiest version of himself.
Yeah, that's kind of what Bill said too.
That being able to now release it and have outlets, whatever one it is almost like it is actually somewhat of a release, even if you're not releasing all of it.
Okay, pretty tightly wound. That's what I feel like when I have it all compartmentalized. I just feel like I'm trying to stay the line and not touch into those things. Whereas, like, again, just with, something like ketamine therapy that I've done, with a therapist, that was incredible for me because it just broke down all those lines, and your brain just turns those corners freely, and you have to get in touch with it. And it was so beneficial to feel the calm that I had after those sessions, because you become aware of those parts of your brain.
Yeah.
And I will say that, like, over the years, it took a long time, but I now understand what he does better. Whereas I think when you're newer to the profession, you understand it and you can conceptualize it, but you don't really understand it. And so now there's a lot less of me being concerned about what my needs might be in certain situations. They come second because he's out there, like, taking care of other people, but nobody's really taking care of him. And you need to, in this profession, it's unique that way. It's like you need somebody that takes care of you too, without worrying whether or not they're getting everything done for themselves that they need done for themselves.
I'm really lucky in our scenario to have a partner that's that understanding, because, you know, I definitely have coworkers that don't have that same support structure, and you can see how difficult it is for them to manage. So I'm really lucky to have just like a very mature, loving wife. Like, honestly, that's what it comes down to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I get my little public speaking fixed by doing a little lecture on resilience in your relationships with fire service at the academies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jim, what was the name of the what was the name of the clinic that we talked to with Neil?
I don't remember.
Started with an O?
I thought it started with a K.
Yeah, we had
Of the 26 studies.
we had a gentleman on a while back when we were both in Denver from one of the ketamine clinics.
Oh, cool.
In Denver, and it was really cool what they were doing, because they were, you know, you could do copay and stuff. They were taking insurance and all that stuff. I have yet to do a therapy session. I've had quite a few recreational sessions before it became in vogue to do it. So I'm curious of what the difference is like from a therapeutic session from a recreational perspective.
Well, I'll say this.
Well, we could tell you.
It's definitely the dosing is more exact.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's more consistent. You know, and the as you guys probably, I've heard that the dosing is so difficult that you can send yourself to oblivion pretty easly just by being, you know, 1/100th of a gram off. You know, it's like pretty wild. But they're
call
there.
Those K-holes.
they're there doing their thing, and you know, it's all, the one that I went to is Mind Spa Denver, and
Okay.
you know, this is something that, like, if there are any firefighters listening, like, I highly recommend seeking therapy first and getting that documented, and then try this as another route if that doesn't work for you, because Colorado, we have an organization that helps reimburse any therapies, and luckily enough for me, that organization reimbursed the entire therapy, which was over $2,600 worth of treatments, and it was a surprise. We were willing to pay that, and we did pay that up front, but by the end of the year, they had reimbursed all $2,600, and what that meant for us was that we could then send Cherie to go through the same ketamine therapy, 6 sessions in the 2 weeks, you know, with the therapies built in there as well. And man, oh man, it's exact. It's a little strange because the first few are real low dose, and then they ramp it up. And I'll just say, like, I didn't think after the second session that it was going to be for me. I just felt like it was like an afterglow for an hour. And then I hit the 3rd session, and it was like, oh my, I came out of it and I was in tears for like 15 minutes because I was just like, I didn't know. And the lady that's sitting there with me, she's like, I know. I was like, no, my mind can't comprehend the places that I just went and what I just uncovered. And she's like, I know, it's amazing. She's like, and you won't always have that experience, but you know that you can. And it was just like, oh gosh. And I would be for 24 to 48 hours just riding this calm, happy nature. And man, anybody that's having troubles, go seek therapy. And then if that's not working for you, go this route. It was very helpful for me. I will say that.